How's it going? So it's your man Cham here, and today we're here for round 2 of the ASR Formula 2 Season 3 Championship here in Shanghai, China. Basically, going into this race now, I was on a bit of a high. I'd finished second in Australia, just behind Force 1, and I was hoping that I'd be able to make a few inroads into him in the championship. However, at the same time, I was feeling pretty nervous. Why? Because of the midweek patch update. Basically, it had essentially nerfed traction control, and I was probably one of the worst people affected. So, as you can probably tell by my Twitter reaction, if you follow me there, I wasn't exactly too pleased, but at the same time, I wasn't really fussed because I knew that other guys would suffer too. To my surprise, however, there's still quite a lot of guys using traction control. Like, with the fact that medium now wasn't as good as turning traction off, I thought there'd be a lot more switching off and just like trying to actually do the league racing without traction at all, let alone just medium. To be honest, I was quite surprised by the fact that a lot of people were still using medium traction, but at the same time I was kind of happy because it meant that I wouldn't have so much of a performance difference compared to normal. The only thing I had to worry about was the track, to be honest. I really am not a fan of the Shanghai circuit, so I had to hope that I could just handle my car around here and actually do well in qualifying. My target goal was in the podium, but unfortunately, however, during our lap, we only managed to go into P5, which was a bit of a downer for me. However, my move was cheered up by probably the weirdest crash I've ever seen, as a teammate BK's AI car ends up crashing into a Force India and completely destroying it. I never thought I'd see a Sebastian Vettel 2.0 anytime soon, but, well, it's happened. However, once the laughs were gone from our teammate BK smashing into the back of someone else after qualifying was over, it was time for us to focus on the race, and time for me specifically to focus on trying to get out of 5th and onto the podium. And so here we are for the Chinese Grand Prix, and so basically, I decided that I would go on a 2-stop strategy. However, unlike the strategy proposed to me, I thought I'd put the soft stint in the middle and see how it goes from there. I want to be on the quick tyres at the end of the race. Hopefully I can catch the guys who actually did decide to do the 1-stop. However, nothing is a guarantee in ASR, so you never know. Someone could well actually be crashed out at turn 1. But anyway, after a little bit of waiting, it was time for the lights to go out for round 2 of the ASR Season 3 Championship in China. And so here we are starting in P5. We've got 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, and 5 lights. And away we go for round 2 of the ASR Championship. We haven't got too bad a start, but the guys around us seem to have got better ones than me. Here we are into turn 1 now. We're going to take the outside line. Hopefully something goes wrong for someone in front of us. Not BK though. Not a teammate, please. That's not had a good effect on us because we've had to slow down and avoid the back of his car. We've ended up in 5th place. We've had to sort of avoid a dive bomb from behind too, which wasn't exactly too pleasant to do. However, most importantly, we have come out of turn 1 unscathed, and hopefully we can make up a few places. However, a bit of dodgy driving from Mozza ahead of us has seen Headshot Gaming actually take 5th from us because I've had to brake and make sure I don't lose part of my front wing. With BK and Rumble having a bit of trouble at the first corner, I thought I was going to be able to get into the podium places before turn 3 was done, which really has been a bit demotivating because now I'm stuck behind guys which are a bit slower than me. BK has front wing damage and Moz is all over the place in terms of lag, so hopefully I can come out of this unscathed and get past them pretty quickly. However, doing it quickly just wasn't possible, and this proved to be a pretty hard ask actually because everyone was all over the place. I was stuck behind Headshot as well, and just about everyone was getting impatient with each other really, so eventually it all boiled down to just trying to make sure I could stick onto the back of them, maybe save a bit of fuel while I was at it. I was trying to use rich revs to get past, that wasn't working. So I had to change my plans. I had to do something completely different. However, the race was flipped on its head on lap 4, where Headshot, Mozza, and BK were all pretty grouped up together. I was on the back of that train that my teammate BK created because of his front wing damage. And then things changed. Himself and Headshot both decided to head for the pits, so therefore I was left to just fight with Mozza and Force 1 in front, who had got out to a massive lead, so I was hoping I could catch up to him for the sake of the championship. However, I was struggling to make any time on Mozza, and so basically, my pit strategy was kind of ruined. I just was not making the gains I needed to actually be able to pit onto the soft tyres and then get out and have a decent stint. The gap had got bigger and bigger ever since BK and Headshot went into the pits all those laps ago. As a result, I just had to make sure that I made the soft tyres work in this second stint. If I was going to make the strategy work, I had to go very quick in comparison to everyone else. Thankfully, the pit stop happened and there was no delays to slow me down, so off onto the track I went and into my second stint I go. However, I soon hit problems as I actually came out behind my teammate BK, despite the fact that he was on older tyres than me now. This is not good, as I was behind him and the rumble. So, essentially, I had to do a lot of work to get to the position I wanted to be in. This strategy so far had not worked. I'd been overtaken by 2 different cars. Eventually though, I was on the back of my teammate BK, but unfortunately, Rumble ahead of us actually made a bit of a game, and so I couldn't catch him, which was really frustrating. In fact, the even worst part about this is Mozza ended up coming out behind me after I managed to get a better time than him on my fresh softs. But, the thing is though, he's on mediums, he doesn't have to stop again, and I'm also lagging now, so anything could happen in this race, but nothing seems to be going very well for me. After a few more laps, thankfully, we're on the back of Rumble now, and, well, things weren't exactly going too well for my teammate BK. He made more contact with Rumble, and by this point, he was just going to give me the position. I was going to be given 5th place and get ahead of BK, which ultimately proved to be something which would help me in the long run. The only problem for me, though, is that I actually was not able to overtake Rumble. I just could not find the pace that I needed to get past him and make it stick, so basically, I was stuck in a net 5th place at the moment on track, and I had Mozza behind me as well. His tyres were starting to come into their own, and mine was starting to wear off pretty bad. In fact, things had got so bad that Mozza behind me was actually having looks now, even though he was on the slower tyre. My tyres were on 40% wear. I was not happy with this strategy, but I had to stick to it. I had no other choice really. I could not pit now. I had to wait until about lap 21 to pit. Even at that, Mozza was trying ambitious dive bombs, but thankfully I managed to keep ahead of him in this part. After all, he was going to overtake me eventually with the medium tyres. In amongst all this, Rumble dived into the pits, and in reality I probably should have gone in with him so I could be on the same strategy as him. However, it didn't take very long for him to get past, and by the time we'd reached lap 19, he had a perfect run on me. He was able to sort of get the slipstream, get a good run. I unfortunately couldn't really take the corner very well because my tyres were just starting to destroy themselves basically. And well, I ran wide and he was through. I was not very happy at this point. I could have been a lot better position than I was, but it was always going to happen eventually. He was on better tyres than me now because my softs were like 10 laps old. It was not fun at all, and I was just looking forward to getting rid of them really. To be honest, things were just becoming worse and worse for me, and by this point I'd actually hit even more blue flag trouble, just like I did last week with the same guy. It was not fun, and well, thankfully he pit so I didn't have to put up with it for much longer. However, by the time I pit, things had got even worse, as Cart Dude behind me, who was on the same strategy as Mozza, had caught me. The race could have gone a lot better than it has, but now I've just got to go into damage control here. I need to make sure I finish at least in the top 5. However, my race nearly ended when I came out of the pits and I came in the middle of a battle for 6th. That was not good. That was way too close. Thankfully from there it only took 2 corners to get ahead of Chucky in 6th place, and then basically from there it was a pretty easy ride, aside from actually trying to get past him. He decided that he wanted to play a few games and move on to braking, so I decided to play a few back and just sort of give him no room. Either way, it worked well, no one crashed and I was through. It wasn't long either until my teammate BK, who was just in front of me, and I was churning out fast laps. In fact, so much so that I actually took the fastest lap of the race. I was feeling great with the car, and he was not feeling good with his at all after a contact with Rumble. So, it was a bit of a wasted weekend for Ferrari. I mean, he was on pole and I was in 5th, but unfortunately, we only ended up coming home in P5 and P6, because Rumble is just too far away for me to catch him, really. After a few laps where nothing more really happened, I ended up coming home in an average 5th place. It was an alright result considering how I felt going into the race, but I really could have done a lot better. But this is ASR and there's never a dull moment, and much to my amusement, I ended up also becoming the victim of a post-race crash. Just like my teammate BK in qualifying, I'd also had an accident after the session was over. Interesting. But anyway, let's take a look at who's on the podium today. Unfortunately for me this week, there was no repeat podium, but I'm still in second place in the championship, so life is going alright. With that being said though, it is going to be a pretty hard ask to catch Force 1. He's looking like he's got a lot of pace, and he seems like he's got the luck to stay there as well. Anyway, let's see what happens next week at the Bahrain International Circuit. It's been your man Cham, and I will see you next time.